Welcome. I'm Josh. Welcome to the Clarity Cafe. This is episode 8, and I'm glad you're here. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about all different types of topics related to health and wellness and energy. And one of the things that I love to always talk about, because it's so predominant in all of our lives and it's everywhere all the time, is sunlight. And by the way, please feel free to share this. If you know anyone that will vibe with this tribe, send them, let them know, come on over. And if you're watching this on YouTube, come on over to my school platform. Yeah, we have a lot of fun here, a lot of community. And again, all about health and wellness, lots of cool stuff. I love to dot connect different products, protocols, practices. And I also work as an intuitive guide. So I help others on their path, kind of clearing the way for them to expand and ground. I guide. That's it. I'm not a healer. I don't fix anything, but you can even check out the what I like to call trustimonials below from clients that I've worked with over the years, globally, all over the world, and it's a lot of fun. And everything's intertwined. I always say it's 5 pillars. It's energetic, spiritual, emotional, mental in the last place. Any kind of physical, chronological issue shows up as physically, right? So, one of the things that I tell people is when I talk to people that, everybody, even if you watch social media, right, you only get a little frame, a box, like 30 seconds, a minute. Someone's telling you about their problem, their issue, their challenge, right? But we don't know the deeper layers, right? So what I like to do when I work with people is the thing that I tell people is I look for the things unseen and the spaces in between that perhaps you haven't considered. So really, I'm just opening up a window of space for you to maybe perceive or look at something differently through a different lens, through a different angle than you previously have. And what results in that is that you're able to make shifts. So then from that point, I work in helping you to maybe guide you. Like, I've done sessions with people where I'm looking at their home or their surroundings or their work environment. And we look at perhaps, VOCs, volatile organic compounds, clothing, textiles, detergents, cleansers, things in the bathroom. One thing leads to another. So that's what I mean by dot connecting. We're connecting these dots, and that therefore it's a less is more approach. We're making shifts and changes, thereby helping you to ground and become more of who you are. Make sense? Okay. So with that said, there'll be a link below. I do one-on-one sessions. I just put that out there for those that are aligning with that and want to consider working one-on-one. So today's topic that I thought, I do this periodically and intermittently, it's all about sunlight. And sunlight is crucial. I mean, it's everything. No sun, no fun. And literally, it's number one. And I know there are people that live all over the globe. They live at different latitudes. They do have sun exposure. They don't have sun exposure. And there are options. I'm not typically into biohacks, although I've done them. I'm just looking at options in nature. The quickest way for you to access sunlight because what sunlight does is it triggers, think of it as literally the cosmic Wi-Fi, not the synthetic Wi-Fi that you get through this technology, your phone, your tablet, your TV, all the other technologies that are out there that tend to disrupt our circadian clocks and rhythms. And even what's called natural circadian clocks, in a sense, really aren't natural anyway, for the most part. But that we can go into another topic area later on. But what I want to address today, I'm going to do a short little presentation. This isn't my slide share. I actually borrowed this from somebody else, and I think it's listed here, so I want to give them credit. But they did a great presentation. I actually found this, I think, on slideshare.net. So I'm going to link it below so you can take a look through it too. I just want to expand on some concepts and some ideas and share that with you. So let me do that now. I'm going to share the screen here. And it's the power of light, right? And not just artificial light, true sunlight, right? That's what this is about. And, to start off with, I'm in Florida. So I'm at the 28th latitude, I think it is. I forget. but we're right around we're in February now, right? So if you're somewhere in the Midwest or the East Coast, I'm sure you've just gone through the Arctic frost that we had this time of year, or in certain parts of the country. And, sunlight is crucial for maintaining metabolism, your overall compound pharmacy, meaning that you are able to regulate certain hormones. And I know for women, I'll address this as well, women get hit a lot harder than men typically do, depending on where you are on your evolutionary trajectory, right? Your, I don't like to call it age. There's so many words that we use, they're casting spells, and I try to be conscious of what I'm stating to you. And again, I will use this disclaimer. This is all for entertainment purposes only. I am not giving medical advice. I'm merely sharing my experience, and you can do with it what you like. You can totally disbelieve everything I'm saying and saying it's cock-a-poo-poo. That's on you. And you can do your further research, and you can look deeper, right? Use critical thinking, right? Just because I'm saying something, or anybody for that matter is telling you something, do the research. Use feeling, intuition, emotion, and discernment. That's something I will always convey to you. Okay? And anybody. It's important, because the more that we're able to do that, that's how we gain our own, like I say, inner reflection for outer direction. And you gain wisdom and experience from that, not from, hoarding all these books. And I'll be the first to tell you, I do that. I grab a lot of papers and books. My office is like this. I've got a lot. Some books I've got, haven't even read them yet. But what I like about them, it's the encryption, the energy that they hold. So I hold the book, not that I get downloaded with everything, but it just brings me into the energetic field of the topic or the subject matter, which I love. So okay, back to sunlight. So yeah, sunlight regulates everything. It regulates your hormones, your beta endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, oxytocin, right? Regulates whether you're in sympathetic or parasympathetic mode. You've got free electrons, negative ions. And if you're in an area like the beach, the mountains, the water, anywhere, you're pulling up negative ions. And all of these things are important, because the wireless communication of the sun communicates with how we feel, right? Dr. Gabriel Cousins, light is the ultimate biological nutrient. Light, energy, non-intrusive, very powerful tool, resides at the core of energetic wellness. Light is the basic component from which all life originates, which is true, right? And if you think about the foods and everything that we um, we take on, whether it's a plant or an animal, if that animal is indoors under fake light, getting fake food, synthetic stuff, well, that energy gets conveyed and passed on to us if we consume that. And most people consume unconsciously. They just power things down. They're not present with what they're doing when it comes to food. But that's another issue. But sunlight is literally, you are creating photosynthesis, converting sunlight energy into sugars, which are energy sources, glucose, right? Or ketones. That's another thing. So again, I'm not into getting all of these supplements. The one supplement is that big yellow ball in the sky, or orange ball, the supplement. That provides you a lot. And like I said, I'll get to that point where if you can't access that, there's other options that you can, that I recommend. There's one particular device that's been around forever, that I'll share. I'll put a link. I'm affiliated with it. You can look into, if you're somewhere like in some of the northern latitudes, you may want to consider this during the wintertime when there isn't sun, and you have what's called SAD, seasonal affective disorder, right? So that lowers the dopamine. You don't really, you're indoors. But anyway, so dimensional healing, light, vibration, sacred cellular structure, energetic, spiritual, emotional, physical, right? These are the layers. This is similar to what I talk about, similar. Vibration, oscillation, frequency, we can talk about Tesla and, 369, light, sound, one, frequency, vibration, and I forget the other one, frequency, vibration, oscillation. I forgot the three. Don't recall it off the top of my head. So people are on the right track with that. And the study of light energy. So we look at things such as the chakra system, the 7 chakras, but in my current level of awareness, there's 15 what are called morphogenetic chakras. So these are the 7 primary chakras that are on the body, and they're spinning wheels. And you can look into that study Sanskrit or, there's plenty of teachings out there. Again, use discernment. There's a lot of distortion mixed with a little bit of truth. And that's a subjective statement in and of itself, right? Like I can say this is truth, but you may go, well, that's bullshit. Okay, that's your reality. That doesn't make me wrong, but that doesn't make, it's not even right or wrong. It's just what you align with. That's what I would say. Okay. Osho, I love some of his sayings. I don't align with, we are born of light, we live in light, we die in light. Okay. Now, when I say light, let's think about light. People just think light. Okay, sunlight. Yeah. There's living light and there's dead light. Like in the sort of new age movement, the white light. Yeah. Be careful with that. That's actually dead light. That's not living light. Now, where do I get that from? Again, I'll go into another perhaps video about that. So there's all these different avenues. I'm sorry. Lots of things come to me as I'm sharing these things. As you can tell, I get a little bit not choked up about it. Turn up my Bluetooth speaker. There's like so much that comes in when I open up a file, right? It's like a zip file. I get sort of like a download, for lack of a better term. 600 BC, Ayurvedic physician, Chakra. I'm going to add this to the, I'll link it below. So you'll see it both on YouTube and also if you're in the my school community. So Ayurvedic, 600 BC, 1887, the evolution and the awareness and the education about sunlight. And think about this, when you're out in the sunlight, which I love, Henrik Hertz, right? Hertz. Light, unlike sound, is able to travel through a vacuum. No medium is necessary. That's true. However, I will say, there's in some of the text, it's stated that first there was light. Actually, correct. No, not correct. It's not. It was actually first there was sound, because sound converts to light, right? It transduces into light. So there's a lot of twists and distortions. Again, I'm just sharing what I feel, what I've learned, and you do your own research, discernment, and critical thinking. So red light stimulates and blue light relaxes the autonomic nerve, the ANS, the autonomic nervous system, right? There's some areas to get into with that, but for the sake of this quick presentation, so we are vibrating light energy, Einstein. Concerning matter, we've all been wrong. What we have called matter is really energy, whose vibration has been lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. There is only light and sound. Yeah. There's something I study in a body of work called Chelantic science, which is the science of light, sound, symbol codes, and the base codes of matter. And there is a practice, a healing practice called Kathara, which means light, sound, one. And you're basically using light and sound to manifest healing, which this body of work, this knowledge is pre-ancient, but now we're beginning to see the exposure or the awareness. It's like an evolutionary awareness, or what's another word? It's becoming like people are now seeing this. You go across social media, there's lots of energy medicine or light medicine through machinery, and I've got healthy skepticism and pessimism with it, because it's being perpetuated that it can help, and a lot of people that are in a lot of pain, inflammation, are looking for these light devices to gain relief. But I want to also say something too, that when you're relieving pain, and I know that there are people in serious pain, relieving the pain does not eliminate the cause. It just relieves the symptoms, okay? So we want to address the cause always, in all ways. So we have to look at everything as to why the pain, what is causing the pain, not how do we numb the pain, how do we stop the pain, how do we block the pain, how do we prevent the pain. Pain is the body's way of communicating, unfortunately, right? If we're not paying attention, then we pay in other ways, okay? So to understand the true nature of the universe, one must think in terms of energy, frequency. That's what I was saying earlier. Energy, frequency, and vibration. I was thinking of vibration, frequency, and something energy. Right. And these are this is some great notes to take. These are some of the pioneers in the light movement, right? Fritz Popp, Royal Rife, Marta Fenio, Immune System. Now, I'm not a big fan of NASA, so that acronym stands for Never a Straight Answer. But perhaps, yes, they've done some testing. You know, some of these elite colleges, again, who do they have allegiance to? So again, I don't. This is an older slide share. So, but again, you know, you take the good with the not so good. Electromagnetic spectrum, right? So here we see different wavelengths and what they can do. Let me see if I can zoom in on this here. I can. Can. Go here. Can I do that? No, it's not doing it. At least on my end. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum. We can get more into that. Just the visible, the invisible, light. Now, here's something interesting. Light emitting diodes, okay, LED lights. Everyone's got them in their homes. They mess with your light, they have a flicker rate, right? LEDs. Now, not all LEDs. There's red light LEDs. There's different types. It just depends on the diodes and what they're calibrated to, the frequencies that they are, okay, and how they are used in conjunction with other lights, okay? You know, they're used to save energy, but they're not. You know, the original lights were basically their sunlight, candlelight, incandescent lights, those, you know, tungsten with the Edison bulbs. They create heat. They're orange. So they basically, again, put you in a parasympathetic mode. You know, even medical discipline is using, and that's another thing I will say, right? So LED lights are, before I go there, I want you to think about something. When you go shopping, when you go to the market, right? You go to the produce section, right? You got those fluorescent LED lights. Those lights kill nitrogen and hydrogen. Because if you think about it, all those fruits, vegetables, herbs, they're all pretty much grown under the canopy of the sunlight if they're organic, right? If they're not altered in any way with any synthetic pesticides, chemicals, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, yada, yada. You follow me? So I always grab, and I suggest you do this too, when you go, you know, always, hey, if you can go to a farmer's market, do it, organic, whenever you can. And ask the farmers questions. What type of fertilizers do you use? What type of water? Do you have irrigated, filtered water? You know, do you test the water? You got to ask these questions nowadays, because I'm telling you, if you don't, you know, if you don't anchor and take responsibility for your vessel and your health, something else out there will occupy your vessel. And I've seen this firsthand, and it's happening right in front of our eyes. Okay. And it's being done through the air, the water, the food, you know, the chemicals, those things, right? As Wim Hof would say, be aware, take care, then share. But don't despair. Okay. So back to LEDs. You know, efficacy of light. That's one of the things I wanted to say about that. And, you know, literally the body is a living photocell. So we talked about photosynthesis. The eyes are the entry points through which light has its profound effect on the regulation of human physiological and emotional functioning and the development of our consciousness. The pineal gland is the body's light meter, assisting us in becoming synchronized with nature. Okay? Can go into more of that, but just take this as a surface level piece of information. To me, this is the first eye. These eyes are limited to what we can see. And then we get into doing things. If you've ever seen anybody doing telekinesis, or people with blindfolds can see colors and shapes. So why? Because we have dermavision in our skin, in our cells. Yes, we have eye clocks that actually see 360, 720 all around us. That's how powerful we are. Right? I'll get into more of that. Not in this one, but another one. Light speaks the language of ourselves. Yes. So as I mentioned to you earlier, when we're talking about the wireless connection, the sunlight, it is the literal, original, primordial, organic way that we communicate. You know, we communicate through a form called telepathy. That is the original way to communicate. And I'm going to just throw this out there. There's a great book. I'll find the link. I'll send it. It's a great book. It gives you a glimpse into the sort of the world of the unseen. If you've never delved into that, metaphysics, spiritual energy, just for shits and giggles. It's called Mutant Message from, I think, Down Under from, but I'll link it below, by Marlo Morgan. And basically, it's about a woman. I believe it's a fictional story, but a lot of the details are just so real. This woman from like Minnesota, she was like, I think, in real estate or banker. She had the nails and the whole, all the beauty accoutrements, and she somehow was guided to go on a walkabout with an Aboriginal tribe for 6 months in Australia. And the experiences she had are phenomenal. And it just brings up this whole thing with communication and manifestation. But I'm going to link that book. Kind of ties into what we're talking about. But again, just thought about that. Wanted to share that with you. Yeah, our cells communicate with light. And the sun, if you go out and you meditate, you're outside in the sun, you start to feel good, right? Well, there you go, because that's what's happening. That cascade effect of all those hormones, dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, oxytocin, beta endorphins, are being activated in the blood serum, right? Like you go on a beautiful trip to Hawaii or Bali or somewhere, right? Yes, you got the physical beauty, but what's really triggering that joy, that peacefulness, that sedative calm are those endorphins from the sun. That's what it's about. More light equals more health and more consciousness. Okay, and these are from modern Russian biophysicists. Now, again, light, we're talking living light, sunlight, not artificial light, indoor light in your home or wherever. No, fluorescent ballast, no, that's not what it's about. So I'm not going to go through all these slides because I don't have enough time to do that, but because there's 52 of them. But our cells and DNA use biophotons to store and communicate information, right? So biophotons are used by the cells of many living organisms to communicate, which facilitates energy information transfer that is several orders of magnitude faster than chemical diffusion. According to a 2010 study, cell-to-cell communication by biophotons have been demonstrated in plants, bacteria, animal, neutrophil, granulocytes, and kidney cells. Different spectral light stimulation, infrared, red, yellow, blue, green, and white at one end of the spinal sensory or motor nerves roots resulted in a significant increase in biophotonic activity at the other end. Light stimulation can generate biophotons that conduct along the neural fibers, probably as neural communication agents. So again, light is the catalyst for communication, light and sound. But light, when it's communicating, there's actually, just like there's invisible light, there's invisible sound. There's not audible sound that we pick up, but it's there. And it moves in different oscillations and ways, right? But we are such amazing humans, angelic humans, that our neurology, your pineal gland, pituitary gland, hypothalamus gland, all of these glands work together to decode the frequencies from light and sound and transduce that. And there's so many things that happen when everything is online and we're utilizing these things. And there's a lot of deconditioning that we have to go through. But again, I'll get to that. The source of all disease is a body out of balance and out of tune with its blueprint for health. So like I said, dis-ease, right? As above, so as below. Energetic, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. Light energy creates an optimal environment to support the body's natural ability to heal. I love this quote by Rumi. What you seek is seeking you. It's actually part of one of my offerings. I have that during a session. And, what is the typical environment that dims our light? There you go. I can add to this: chemtrails, all the crap that we're seeing now, water pollution, concrete, radiation from towers, cell phones, X-rays, UV exposure, and that's so there's native UV and there's non-native. I want to distinguish between the two. Non-native UV light, ultraviolet light, is coming from all the superficial, artificial crap, right? Natural UV light is coming from the sunlight, UVB, UVA, and there's UVC, but for the most part, we're talking about UVB, UVA. toxins, pesticides, additives, preservatives, trans fats, hydrogens, heavy metals, GMOs, drugs, glyphosate can add to that, astrazine. There's just a crap load. Do your research on this. Negative low vibrational thinking. Now, I have a term that I use. We get a lot of thoughts in our heads, okay? Those thoughts are not ours. Our thoughts are not actually embedded they're in the field. They're in our bioenergetic field. And when we come across people and places and we go certain ways, you'll get beamed in information. And depending on your neural receptors, you will take in and transduce and translate that information into your native language, okay? And you'll get thoughts. And so if you have negative thoughts, you have to stop. One thing I learned from someone is, in my head, if I start having a loop, even songs, right? They were designed, the whole record industry, that's a whole other area I can go into, but it was designed at 440 hertz. There's a certain level of repetitiveness that it loops in. It lowers your receptors. I can't explain the whole biological chemical thing, but basically makes you submissive and passive. Okay. And so when you hear these things, you can say, the thought that you can say to yourself is, I wonder what my next thought will be. And that talks to your subconscious and it basically catches it and it stops that loop going, right? But the point I want to bring up to you is, if you talk sick, you become toxic. Okay? Let that sink in. If you talk sick, self-talk, you become toxic. You are casting a spell using negatively charged words, that you are drawing the manifestation template into your hologram, into your reality. Yeah, I'm kind of going all over the place, multidimensionally, but we're talking about light. But, if this is making, if you got tingles on your skin, if this is making any sense at all, then, that you determine what's true for you. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Dimensional healing, Dr. Jane Smolenik, naturopathic doctor. So again, we're coming back. Light, vibration, sacred cellular structure, energetic, spiritual, emotional, physical. Well, I would put them in a different order. The physical body's research response to light energy increases circulation, blood and lymph, decreases inflammation, pain, reduces stress, repairs skin and rejuvenates skin, increasing collagen. Yes, all of these things can be found. And nowadays, there are different tools and things that one can use. One thing, again, that I recommend, that I absolutely love and swear by because I have one too, is called a biomat. And the biomat has amethyst crystal and black tourmaline crystal, which produce a large amount. I forget how many per square meter, like negative ions. And negative ions literally are the things that open up the cell and communicate with the cell to release toxicity. Super powerful. And the biomat is using long range far infrared signaling through amethyst. Very, very powerful. Highly recommend it. Like someone, if you're a body worker, a masseuse, a therapist, rolfer, any sort of alignment work, your clients, you totally want to use a biomat to help prep them. Makes your job easier, puts them in a parasympathetic mode, right? Because most people, when they go to body workers, any type, they are in a high stress mode. They're in sympathetic mode, so they're in fight or flight. So it takes them a while to get into that parasympathetic mode. And then once you're in parasympathetic mode, then the body can begin, that's when the body communicates, right? All these neural pathways, these neurodendrites, the nerves, the remyelination, not deep, right? Some people are lacking B vitamins. B vitamins regulate, if you've got neuropathy, foods that have B12, B6, folate, not folic acid, I'm sorry, going off on another tangent. All right, let's stick with what we got right here. So, right? And there's some red light devices that are out there. I'm not going to go through all of that now. I've told you a couple of things. I'm not really trying to promote. I'm just trying to help you and just show you some options, right? Should you require them. So that's all this is about. But yeah. All right. So red, blue, infrared light. Okay. So where are we at time wise? I think we're doing okay. Let's check. Yeah. So I may move this, make this into another part. So red, blue, and infrared light. Let's talk about that. So the ability from 8 to 10 millimeters, 3 to 4 millimeters, blue, infrared kind of penetrates everything. 880 nanometers of light. That boom just goes straight in to the bone. Okay. Red light 640, blue light 430. Now, there's blue light from this screen, from your phone, from your tablet, from your TV, different light spectrum, but yet when those light spectrums, you know, when you're exposed to blue light at a certain time of the day, it's okay, natural blue light. But when it's after 12 noon and you're indoors, if I'm in here on my computer or on my phone, that blue light coming off the screen, but I have devices to block this stuff, right? I'm using different tools. That light tells the pineal gland, or the SCN, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which kind of is like the regulator of all these other, um, I would say organs in your brain, but the elements, the hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal gland, the glands that secrete these certain hormones, right? Um, it tells your brain it's 12 o'clock noon all day, right? That's why there's a big issue with blue light, because people can't sleep. Their circadian clocks are off. They have skin issues. They have weight issues. They have metabolism issues, right? Light, sunlight regulates that when you get enough exposure. And typically that exposure time is in the AM, from anywhere from the moment the sun comes up till about solar noon, which can be anywhere between 12 to 1:30, depending on the time of year, right? I'm also going to throw something in here too that you should check out. You can find apps if you like to use apps on your phone. Not everybody does. One I have called D-Minder. Okay, I'll put a link for that. That will tell you your longitude, latitude, and the type, what the UV spectrum is, at any given point in time during the day, all around the world, and when the best window of opportunity is for you to get sun exposure. And when you get sun exposure, you want to get as much of your body exposed. So if you're in a place where you can get naked, do it. Guys need to get testicles, women need to get the breasts. But if you can get everything in there, great. If you can't, get as much exposure as you possibly can. All right, so moving on. Let's see. Light and energizing nutrient. You bet. It's food. It literally is. It's photosynthesis, just like what plants do, right? They take in the sunlight and they transduce that into sugars to use for energy to feed. Light donates photons to cells that need energy. Photons increase the production of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is the energy of the cell, mitochondria. ATP energy governs 80 to 90% of the cells. Okay, light ignites the cellular metabolism. Light energizes cell membranes so that nutrients can better nourish cells and help them thrive, to stay alive. And that ain't no jive. Seriously. And I want to tell you one other thing real quick. Everyone's into detoxes. Yeah, let me take pills. Let me get on this procedure. I got mold. I got this. I got that. We're bombarded globally, depending on where you live and the type of home you have. And if you have, not going to go down that path, but I want to make something very, very clear. You have to have electron charge in order for the cell to dump toxins. If you take supplements, they aren't going to do anything if you don't have charge in your body. So if you are eating or consuming processed, cooked, irradiated, microwave, dead food, you lose charge, you deplete your energy storages. Okay, so it's important to have the right liquids, the amount of sunshine and air. Not everybody has these perfect conditions, but I like to say this. I learned this from one of my mentors: AIO, adapt, improvise, overcome. You find a way, right, to make it happen, or you don't. But I just want to point that out. You need conductivity and energy in order for the ATP, the mitochondria, the cell to work to flush all these toxins out. People bombard themselves with supplements and practices, but you actually can potentially do more harm to your body than you can good. You have to work with your body to prep your body. Your body is metagalactic communicator with the cosmos. And if you communicate with it, magic happens. It's not about speed. You go slow to go fast. The faster you go, the more you force things, the slower it happens. That's been my experience. Through trial and tribulation. Not fun and impatience, right? Okay, moving on. Let's go. Yeah, LEDs like sunlight on a garden. When planting a garden, you always find a place in the sun. Sunlight delivers photons to plants. As a result, plants grow bigger, healthier fruits. LEDs donate energy. Yes and no. That's Elon. That's the website or whatever that's here. Cellular health equals regeneration. Yes, light equals photons, energy, regeneration. Pretty much. That's a little bit of what it is. Yep. How does light energy support decreased inflammation? Great question. Photons enter the body as negative ions. Body sends positive ions like calcium to the area and assist the nerves relieving pain. But negative ions are what bring it the charge. They sort of balance out the positive ions. Decreased muscle tissue tension induces local nitric oxide release. Nitric oxide is something that your body actually secretes in the endothelial wall of your blood vessels. There's exercises you can do. So endogenously, that means internally, your body actually releases nitric oxide. Regulates metabolism, builds muscle, helps regulate heart rhythms, biorhythms. There we go. What is nitric oxide? How did I know that thought was coming up? A signaling molecule produced by the endothelial cells, linings along 100,000 miles of blood vessels and capillaries, blah, blah, blah. You can read all that, right? All right. I mean, it's amazing what it does. Nitric oxide is incredible. I've come to see nitric oxide as the physical expression of prana, your life force, chi, prana. It is the wow molecule that continually resets our ability to connect body, mind, heart, and spirit. To activate this, we need to care for ourselves with plenty of sleep, exercise, life-giving foods, letting go of resentment, forgiveness, and opening up to affirmation and love. Christine Northwood. Okay, sure. Nitric oxide and the endothelial health. So here's that. It's got a book, The Cardiovascular Cure. I don't have it. Could be a good book. You may want to research that. Let's see. Effective light on nitric oxide, both red and new. Okay. Retinal pigment, no, that's that. RBC, light passes through the skin, endothelial cells, nitric oxide, cyclinase, nitric oxide, GTP, CGMP, phospholipid. Yeah, vasodilation, angiogenesis. Yes, scientific studies. So here's some sites. You can check that out. Again, I'm going to be uploading this document, so you'll be able to go through this. What else? Human plasma response. I'm going to just quickly go through all of this, okay? I don't want to take up too much of your time. I hope you're finding this insightful, educational. IMAS local pad, not sure what that is. Soft tissue. What else do we have here? Oh, this is interesting. Yeah. Blood sample of healthy male in his 30s before light session. Okay, so you see the red blood cells there. They're sort of stuck together, right? Blood sample of same man after one 20-minute LED light session. Now, you see that the cells are not coagulated, they're not stuck. That means that there's ROS, reactive oxygen species. So it's preventing the cells from actually moving through and absorbing oxygen. It's blocking the absorption of oxygen. Now, LED light sessions, I'm not talking about just your standard LED lights. They're not, LED lights are red lights. They're very specific wavelengths and diodes. So, like I said, this is an older slide share, but it's good for the purposes of what I'm doing. If you have any questions on anything that I've been sharing so far, please drop them below, DM me, add them to the thread below, both here on School and on YouTube. Why pulse light at frequency? Sickness results when cells, molecules, or particles of matter are out of their normal resonancy or vibrance patterns. By repeatedly exposing damaged tissue to normal resonance frequencies associated with that tissue, healing often occurs, sometimes rapidly. French neurologist Paul Noguer. What's this? Vibration and water molecules. Okay, yes. Emoto has talked about this, so that's good. Also, Veda Austin, if you've not checked into some of her work, she's more recent. Veda, Veda Austin, I'll put a link for her. She has some amazing work that she's done with water. Kind of ties in with all this. Inflammation, infection, so he talks about that. Body's healing process. Sports injuries. Now, Dr. Jack Cruz really got into this a lot. He's someone you may want to check out. He talks about light water magnetism. He is a mitochondriac. Jack is, I think, he's just a maverick, a complete outlier, and he does some phenomenal work. That's Dr. Jack Cruz, Kruse. He's a neurosurgeon. And I bring him up because sports injuries, he talks about most of these elite athletes or people in general, they're indoors in these gymnasiums under these shitty LED lights or fluorescent lights, and they affect, again, you're getting all these frequencies. They affect the muscle, the tissues, the way the body responds and reacts. And phenomenal work. You can look up Dr. Jack Cruz, sports injuries on Google. You'll find like a shit ton of information. Okay. Moving on here. Let's see. Yeah. So certain things supporting wound healing, lasting 9 months after 9 weeks of daily LED light. So again, consistent use of light work. Okay. Let's see. Schumann waves, solfeggio frequencies, dissolving stress and tension. The body's healing potential is only realized when we are in a relaxed state. That's it. If you're hyper, if you're in that sympathetic mode, fight or flight, right? Fight or flight, or parasympathetic, rest and digest. So these are cycles the body goes through, but everyone's so heightened because of blue light, because of the environment. You're on scrolling the news, all the crap going on, right? That raises cortisol levels, adrenaline, right? Very acidic in the body, causes inflammation. Sunlight counters that. So if you're stressed, go for a walk in the sun. Get outside. Just go outside. Go for a walk. 5 minutes. Why it's so important to de-stress the body. Okay? 95% of all disease is caused by stress. NIH. Not that I'm a big fan of NIH, especially after today, but at least they throw in a cookie, right? Show you something good while they give you the rest BS. So, all right. Chapeau to those knuckleheads. Okay, so this must be something with this page. 258, connect with light and spirit, remove pain. All right. Oh, the frequencies, I think. All right. The frequency at which the light waves are pulsed enhances. So this is a device, I believe. That's what this is. Yeah. Reaching a meditative state. Benson Henry result, mind body. Once you get in, so lots of things happen once you get into that, that healing state, right? We affect different alpha, gamma, beta, different frequency states where we can go deeper, dive deeper. Skin rejuvenation, stimulate collagen production, younger looking, more plump skin. Studies have shown red light therapy, it does, and that's been shown to do that. So I believe this company is promoting certain things. Wow. So there you go, reducing inflammation, increasing cell rejuvenation. So this device by this company, which I probably, it's on the slide share. So that's what red light can do. And this one is relatively old. There are some red light devices that are out there now, after 8 weeks. I think it's called Elan, something like that. Before, after, supporting the body's healing process. ATP production, again, we're going to talk all about that. I'm almost done here, actually. I got through most of this. Okay. How to light up your life. Pay attention to the lighting and frequency around you. That is true. Okay, you definitely have to do that. So this is a device from this company. I've not tried this device. I got this a long time ago. I was interested in it. I will have to do some more investigation, but it did put together a really great slide share and having to do with the sunlight and the benefits of the sunlight, but also promoting this product, which I'm not affiliated with. I don't have a link, but you can do your own research too. How to light up your life. Pay attention to the lighting and frequency around you. Get 20 minutes a day of sunlight, relaxation. Use the light energy system from Elan regularly. Okay, so there you go. It's Elan. That's the company that's done this slide share. I do like their presentation. She looks pretty happy. Hey, how cool is that, right? And there you have it, right? So this is the that's the slide share. That's what I wanted to show you, all about sunlight. And I think we brought this in about 40 minutes. You know, here we are getting more clarity at the Clarity Cafe. I hope you found this insightful, expanded you a little bit. And that's one thing that I find that I correlate this with when I work with clients in sessions. Typically, if they're in the area where I am in Florida, we meet outdoors, because that actually serves the benefit and the purpose of bringing in more information, because the catalyst sometimes, as I'm a medium and an intuitive, and for everybody, right? Everybody has these abilities of telepathy. Some come in incarnate with things more online and awakened, or they get triggered or activated at certain points in time on their evolutionary journey in this incarnation. And but the sunlight, man, it's amazing. I am so appreciative and grateful and thankful for the sunlight. And it just literally provides life, the frequencies, the communication, everything. So thanks again for being here. Shine on, beautiful one. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening, no matter where you are at. And again, I'm going to upload this both to my school community, so my tribe gets a hold of that, and to YouTube. So there'll be show notes, links for everything that I've talked about. Any questions, please ask. I'm here to help guide. All right. Lots of love. Enjoy.